Hi, today I'd like to talk to you about order of operations and how it applies to simplifying mathematical expressions. We all know that when you build a house, there is a particular order that must be followed. First, you start by digging a hole, then you lay the foundations, then you build the walls, and so on. This is also true of mathematics. There is an agreement called the order of operations that is used to determine which step goes first, and then what happens after that, and so on. Very often in watching students solve a mathematical problem, I see them start at the left-hand side of the equation and rush through and solve the equation just as it's written from left to right, similar to the way they would read a line in a story or in a book. Unfortunately, this is not true of mathematics. There is a particular operation that has to be followed in order for everyone to be able to get the same answer. So, taking a look at this first equation that we are given, step back for a minute and just take a look at what all you have. The order of operations says to start with brackets. So, do we have brackets in our equation? Yes, they're there. So the first thing that we should do is simplify the brackets. So leave the first part of the equation because we're not dealing with it yet, but taking what's inside the bracket, you have 2 subtract 5, which would give you -3. Leave the rest of the equation as it sits. Okay, the next thing that we're asked to do is analyze the exponents. And so again, check and see if you've got an exponent, which you have. So simplify the exponent first. Again, leave the rest of the equation, but now we're dealing with -3 squared. You know that this is shorthand notation. That means -3 times -3. And your result there should be +9, because remembering that the negative is also squared. So your answer there, +9. Again, you'll notice I'm leaving the parts of the equation that I'm not dealing with until the very end. Your next line says to do division or multiplication in order from left to right. All of this part is division and multiplication. So starting at the left of that part, leaving the 4 because it's not there yet, you would take 4 times 9, 36, and then you're going to divide that by 6. Okay, I still have some division to do before I get to that subtraction. And my final step then is the addition or subtraction, which in this case is a subtraction. So my final answer would be -2. Okay, moving on to the next equation. Again, step back and take a look at where you've got brackets. In this equation you have 2 sets of brackets, and you have a set of brackets within a bracket. We always start at the innermost brackets first, so simplify that. Leave the rest of the equation until you can get there. Okay, but take the 4 minus 7, which would be -3, first. Okay, inside that bracket, excuse me, you will need to simplify. And so that becomes, you're taking 2 times -3, which would be -6. Again, you've still got brackets, so we still have more simplification to do. 10 subtract 6 is 4. And finally we have multiplication and division, which you do in order from left to right. So we have 5 times 4, which is 20. And we're going to divide that by 4. And so finally our answer is 5. By using the accepted order of operations, which we commonly call BEDMAS or PEDMAS, depending on whether you call it brackets or parentheses, every time we all do a math equation, we will all end up with the same answer. Hope this helps.